Hello, West Ham fans! Before anything else, we need to take a moment to remember a figure who truly represents the soul and history of our club, a name that needs no introduction, a true claret and blue legend. I'm talking about Billy Bonds, our beloved Bonzo, who on 17 September celebrated his 79th birthday. On 17th of September, West Ham celebrated the birthday of one of the greatest names in its history. Billy Bonds, the eternal Bonzo, turned 79 and remains one of the most powerful symbols of everything the club represents. Billy Bonds' journey with the Hammers began in 1967 when he was signed from Charlton Athletic. Few could have imagined back then that this young man would go on to become a living legend of West Ham. Over an incredible 21 seasons, he wore the claret and blue shirt in 793 official matches, a number that remains the all-time record in the club's history. Bonzo was the embodiment of grit and commitment. Playing as both a defender and a midfielder, he was tireless, the type of player who fought for every ball as if it were the last. His dedication and competitive spirit quickly earned him not only the respect of teammates and managers, but also the eternal admiration of the fans. As captain, Billy Bonds had the honor of lifting 2 FA Cups with West Ham. The first came in 1975, when the team defeated Fulham 2-0, and the second in 1980, one of the most memorable moments in the club's history, when the Hammers beat the mighty Arsenal at Wembley. These trophies were more than just silverware. They were proof that West Ham could face any opponent as equals, led by the courage and determination of their captain. Bonds' relationship with West Ham didn't stop on the pitch. After hanging up his boots, he took charge of the club as manager between 1990 and 1994, adding more than 200 matches from the dugout. Once again, Bonzo demonstrated his loyalty, dedication, and love for the club that had become his second home. It's no surprise that in 2019, West Ham decided to immortalize his name officially. The East Stand of the London Stadium was renamed the Billy Bonds Stand, a gesture that moved supporters of all generations. It was a fitting tribute to someone who so deeply embodies the soul and identity of the club. Today, when looking back at West Ham's history, it's impossible not to see Billy Bonds' mark on every chapter. He is more than numbers or statistics. He is an example of loyalty, commitment, and unconditional passion for the shirt. At 79, celebrated on this 17 September, Bonzo remains an inspiration to players, managers, and fans, reminding everyone what it truly means to be West Ham. Happy birthday, Bonzo. Thank you for 21 years of dedication, for lifting trophies, for leading generations, and for being the beating heart of West Ham United. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the claret and blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. The pressure on Graham Potter keeps increasing, and the truth is that his stay at West Ham hangs by a thread. After a poor end to last season, and an even worse start to this one, the patience of both the board and the fans seems to have reached its limit. In fact, there are already whispers behind the scenes that a defeat to Crystal Palace could mark the immediate end of his spell with the Hammers. The name emerging as a possible replacement is someone who knows the club very well, Slaven Bilic. The Croatian was West Ham's manager between 2015 and 2017 and also wore the Irons shirt as a player between 1996 and 1997. He never hid his connection with the team. When he first took charge as coach, he made it clear that he saw West Ham as a special club, a cult club, not just because of its size, but because of its identity with the supporters. And his spell left its mark. He managed 109 games with 42 wins, 30 draws, and 37 losses. The team scored 160 goals, conceded 167, and Bilic closed his tenure with an average of 1.43 points per match. He was responsible for taking West Ham into Europe in consecutive seasons, and for leading the club through its first season at the London Stadium, moments that remain fresh in supporters' memories. The end of his tenure in 2017 was not how he would have wished. After a poor start, he was dismissed but left gracefully. At the time, Bilic said he held no grudges and understood the decision. He admitted he hadn't started well and acknowledged that once the media begins speculating about a manager's sacking, the pressure becomes nearly unbearable. As he himself put it, when your name is on the line, you need an incredible run of results to survive, but with each defeat, the speculation starts all over again. Now, 8 years later, he reappears as a possible candidate to take charge of the Hammers once more. Bilic has been a free agent since leaving Al Fateh in Saudi Arabia last year, and according to reports, he would be ready to return to the Premier League. He had already been considered as David Moyes' replacement last year, but the board opted for Julen Lopetegui, who lasted only a short time in charge. Besides him, other names are also being discussed. Nuno Espirito Santo, recently dismissed by Nottingham Forest, is on the radar, as well as Sean Deitch and Gary O'Neill. Even Jose Mourinho was speculated, but the Portuguese has already sealed his return to Benfica. Owner David Sullivan is said to be particularly frustrated with the results under Potter and is already drawing up plans for a swift change. The pressure from the fans only adds fuel to the fire protests are being organized for this weekend, and the atmosphere inside the London Stadium is one of total impatience. There is also a financial angle. To dismiss Potter, West Ham would have to pay compensation similar to what was given to Lopetegui, around $3.3 million depending on the Englishman's weekly wage. Since the club is already facing challenges to stay within the Premier League's financial responsibility, rules any decision must be carefully considered. On one side lies the financial and reputational risk of yet another managerial change. On the other, the weight of fan pressure and the growing belief that Potter is not capable of turning things around. And in the middle of this storm, the name of Slaven Bilic surfaces once again, reviving memories of not-so-distant times and sparking the inevitable question, could the Croatian be given the chance to write a new chapter in his West Ham story? Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. Slaven Bilic was never just another manager for West Ham. His relationship with the club is emotional and profound because before becoming a coach, he was a player. Between 1996 and 1997, he wore the Hammers shirt as a center-back playing 48 official matches. It may not have been a long spell, but it was enough to build ties with the club and its supporters. That's why when he returned in 2015 as manager, he himself said, "I am very happy to be back at West Ham. It is a special club, a cult club with a unique atmosphere. It's not only about size, it's about what West Ham represents." That statement summed up perfectly what Bilic thinks. For him, West Ham is a different kind of club, one with its own identity, a team that carries a culture and a passion you don't find everywhere. It was precisely this vision that won over the fans who still hold a special affection for him today. On the pitch, Bilic displayed clear characteristics. He favored an intense style with strong attacking transitions and a team capable of competing with the Premier League's giants. Under his command, West Ham achieved important results, including against top sides, and qualified for European competitions in consecutive seasons. It was also under his leadership that West Ham made the transition from Upton Park to the London Stadium, a historic, challenging moment that defined the club's modern trajectory. His legacy, though brief, left positive memories. That West Ham side had soul, fought hard on the pitch, and Bilic knew how to connect the team with the stands. This bond between manager, players, and fans is something the club seems to have lost today, and many believe Bilic could restore it. It's also worth recalling the way he handled his sacking in 2017. He left with his head held high without resentment, acknowledging that results weren't good enough but always showing respect for the club and the board's decision. That dignified, loyal stance only reinforced the positive image he had built among the supporters. Now in 2025, Bilic's name has resurfaced. He is a free agent, has international experience, knows the Premier League, and above all understands West Ham's soul. For many, he represents the chance to bring the team closer to its essence, something fans have been demanding more strongly with each passing day. Of course, football has changed, and the challenge would be immense. The pressure for results is greater, the competitiveness of the Premier League has risen, and the club is now dealing with complex financial issues. But Bilic brings baggage few could match: identity with the fans' experience with the club, and the ability to revive that combative spirit that West Ham has always embodied. The big question is, would Slaven Bilic have the chance to write a new chapter at the London Stadium, this time in a completely different context? And beyond that, does he still have the energy, ideas, and boldness to give West Ham the hope their fans are so desperately demanding? And that's all for today's West Ham news. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with fellow fans, and of course subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Come on, you Irons.